Hi everyone, welcome to this video on editing in Syncfusion Xamarin.Forms DataGrid. In this video, I will show you how to enable editing and take you through the available selection modes, selection units, and finally, I will show you the edit tap actions and editor selection behaviors. I am using a sample application that was configured with all the necessary DataGrid namespaces and data. You can download this getting started sample from the link provided in the description below. And you can also watch the getting started video titled Xamarin.Forms DataGrid Getting Started, which I have shared in this YouTube card. In the getting started tutorial, we saw how to bind data to the data grid using the item source property. Let me run this application in Android simulator. You can see the data grid bound with data. Now, I will show you how to edit the data grid cell values. To perform edit operations in the SF data grid, I set the allow editing property to true. Also, I need to set the selection mode. There are 4 selection modes are available in data grid. Let me set the value as single. I set the edit tap action property with the value on double tap so that I can perform edit operations when I double click on the grid. I set the navigation mode to cell so that I can navigate through cells for editing. I save the file. The XAML hot reload reloads the application in the Android emulator. I click on a row. You can see the row was selected with the cell since I have set the navigation as cell. I select another row. You can see the row selection changes to the newly selected row. This is because I have set the selection mode as row. I double click on a cell to edit it. You can see I can edit the cell. I change the cell value. I click on the selected row again. You can see the selection is performed on that row. To deselect the row while clicking on it again, I need to change the selection mode to single deselect. I save the file. I select a row. I again click on the row. It deselects a row now. Let me show you how the multiple selection mode works. I change the selection mode to multiple. I save the file. I click on a row and then I click on another row. You can see the previously selected row also still in selected state. I again click on the selected row. The row was unselected. This is the behavior of multiple. Now let me set the selection mode to none. I save the file. I try to select a row by clicking on it. You can see that I can't select any row. Next, let me show you how the edit tap action property works with the value on tap. Let me change the selection mode to single. I save the file. I tap on a cell. You can see the cell in edit mode. You can notice that once the cell enters edit mode, the cursor moves to the end of the cell value. To change this behavior to select all, I need to use the editor selection behavior property and set the value to select all. I save the file. I tap on a cell. The whole content of the cell value is selected so that I can easily add my new value to it. Let me rotate the device. I click to edit a cell value. You can see that the keyboard occupies the entire mobile screen and shows only the single cell value. To avoid this behavior and to show the entire row, I use the IME options and set the value no extract UI. I save the file. I select a cell. You can see the entire row while editing the cell. Next, let me show you how to select the cell alone instead of the entire row. To achieve it, I add the selection unit property and set the value to cell. I save the file. I tap on a cell. You can see the selection is made only on that cell and not the entire row. All these properties can be set in code behind instead of XAML. Let me show you how to access these properties in code behind. In the code behind, I access the DataGrid object and set the allow editing property and set the value to true. I set the selection mode to single. In the same way, I set the edit tap action to on tap. I set the navigation mode to cell. I set the selection behavior to select all. I set the IME options to no extract UI. And finally, I set the selection unit as cell. I remove the code from the XAML part since I have set the same settings in the code behind. I run the application. I tap on a cell. You can see the same editing behavior. Now, let me show how these editing properties work in iOS. I change the startup project to iOS. I run the application. I tap on a cell. You can see the same editing behavior as I showed in Android app. Now, let me show how these editing properties work in UWP. I change the startup project to UWP. I run the application. I click on a cell. You can see I can edit the cell. Let me show you how the keyboard navigation works in UWP. I press the down arrow. You can notice that the selection moves downwards. In the same way, when I press the up arrow key, the selection moves upwards. You can use the navigation keys to do selections in the data grid. Next, let me show you how to get the selected rows details using the selection changed event. Using the data grid object, I hook the event selection changed. I create a variable selection changed and assign the value e dot added items of 0 so that I can get the first selected row. I place a breakpoint here so that we can see the row values. I run the application. I click on a cell to select it. Now the breakpoint hits. You can see the selected items row data. Finally, let me summarize the main points. I explained the steps to configure editing, selection modes, selection units, and finally I showed you the edit tap actions and editor selection behaviors. You can download this working example from the GitHub link in the video description below. You can also check if you are eligible for our community license, which gives you a free license key to use our Xamarin products. If you found this video useful, click the like button and subscribe to our channel to get notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching.